We're back again, and I've made a video in the past declaiming.
Okay, it's a word. Thank God.
We're back again, and I've made a video in the past declaiming insane claims by media outlets in regards to Apple, such as the MacBook Air turning into a flame because people are trying to make a fully fledged Hollywood film, or that the M1 Macs are going to last 2 years because people are using it as their personal server. Now, these videos aren't to defend Apple in any way, and I wouldn't even really call it debunking. It's more of clarification on the matter at hand. So today I want to talk about the blooming effect that is happening on the iPad Pro's display and actually how impressive this iPad Pro display really is. So from a person who has had LASIK surgery very recently, I experienced the blooming effect in real life, in real time. So first let's talk about what is the blooming effect. So the blooming effect is when flowers unfold themselves and show how beautiful they are to the world. But in terms of display technology, it's pretty much when an object on the screen has an aura around it, typically bright objects in a dark environment. Now, I'm no display expert by any means. I'm just explaining this the simplest way for the average person. Anyway, people are saying that this is a huge issue in the iPad Pro and that previous models never suffered this issue and that they will never buy another Apple product and they're selling every single Apple product they already know. That'll teach Apple. Let me get the camera. I need to teach these people a lesson because, oh my God.
You see this, guys? It's called outside. It's called the world. You know, the thing we live on? You might want to go outside and get some fresh air because it's not that serious. If you're trying to boycott Apple over a blooming effect on technology that has already been known, you need to go outside and live your life.
So the new iPad Pro has mini LEDs and the old one does not. This is the previous generation that came out last year. But you know what they both have in common? They're both still an LCD panel, and regardless, you have to work with the limitations of an LCD panel. So why is there such a huge uproar about the new iPad Pro and its mini LEDs? Quite frankly, I have no idea. This is nothing new if you've ever dealt with mini LEDs or any LCD panel in the past decade. You see, the TV behind me, I don't know if you guys can see, is produced by TCL. And they've been making mini LED TVs for the past couple of years now, and they're actually moving over to micro LEDs, which is very exciting, but besides the point. You know what has the blooming effect? TCL mini LED TVs, but not just TCL. Pretty much every mini LED TV has this issue because once again, you're at the mercy of LCD and its limitations.
And again, I think on LED, LCD, you will always have to balance between getting more blooming or respecting the brightness of the elements on screen.
You can have X LED, QLED, mini LED, micro LED, OLED, AMOLED, but everything I mentioned before OLED is still using an LCD panel. Now, there's people saying that this is why OLED is better in every way possible. And I say, let's take a step back. You need to understand the concept of something called use case, and that not every display needs to be OLED or AMOLED. There's a con to every panel that we try to use. Let's say I work at an electronics store and I'm giving you honest negatives about your future TV purchase. Let's talk about our generic LCD panel. Regular LEDs. Blacks look a little bit gray and there's a lot of backlight bleed. Doesn't look too great. But by Tech Enthusiast standards, they would probably spit on you, even though majority of homes right now, like the TV behind me, is using just regular LEDs. So let's move up to QLED with full local dimming array. You'll find some degree of blooming in very specific scenarios, but overall, a much improvement over regular LED. But not good enough to Tech Enthusiasts. So let's move up to mini LEDs with even greater local dimming zones, higher brightness, contrast, colors. But the problem is you're still gonna have some degree of blooming because that's just the nature of LCD panels. So let's move up once again to the higher echelon, which is OLED. There's virtually no blooming, blacks are black, colors look great, but crazy expensive, at least when it comes to producing larger displays. There's no one really arguing that OLED is the best and that nothing can be OLED, because in terms of a viewing experience, OLED kinda is the best. But not every device needs to be OLED or AMOLED. TVs are typically in an area where there's a lot of natural light, and guess what doesn't get that bright? OLED panels. That's why OLED panels are still a fraction of the market share, and the fact they cost about the same as an engagement ring. But whether it's mini LEDs, micro LED, regular LED, QLED, OLED, there's a con to each category. I actually had a friend way back when I first got this TV a couple years ago, extreme tech enthusiast, who told me how horrible my TV was and that I had to get OLED or nothing else. And the funny thing is, every other person that has seen this TV talked about how great it looks. And honestly, going from my janky 32-inch 1080p TV to this basically looks like OLED to me. Even though it's really not, but it looks way better than what I had before. I think enthusiasts need to understand that not everyone needs the best. They just need something that's better than what they had before, and they'll be happy with it because the overall product is better. So I want to touch on the things I've seen so far with the testing of the new iPad Pros. But before I do, I just want to say that you'll probably never notice the blooming effect during the day or if there's any type of light around you. So most of these tests are conducted when you're in a pitch black room. They do the test where the ball is bouncing around on the screen. It's a white ball typically, or they're drawing in the Notes app with white text with the brightness cranked. On top of that, cameras don't really capture it that well and over exaggerate it for us to see. First of all, hold on. Oh my God, your poor eyes. Let me protect myself first. Now, I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen or if it's as bad as people portray, but if I use my brain just a little bit, I don't know the last time I saw someone using a display in complete darkness with the brightness cranked all the way up, let alone at like 50%. One more thing I want to mention to you guys before I let you go, I find extremely funny is when the iPad Pro first came out, people were praising how amazing this display is with no issues. Then suddenly this blooming effect issue becomes an issue, and then suddenly it negates all the amazing things we said about this display, even though it's not really in the most ideal situations of how people actually use the device. I just find that funny. I stand by what I said in my unboxing, and you can visibly see how astonished I was when I compared the video quality of the new iPad Pro versus the old one before even hitting the play button. It is brighter, no doubt. That is the power of mini LEDs. But now, is this device for everyone? Absolutely not. The iPad Pro is directed at a very specific group of people. That's why the iPad Air exists. Do I think the blooming effect is an issue? Absolutely not. This is not anything new that we haven't seen before. In fact, the fact that Apple was able to cram 10,000 LEDs into this display is impressive. And as a person who's coming off of LASIK who already has the blooming effect built into my eyes and the nighttime sucks with any type of artificial light, I stand by my statement and say that this is still easily the best display I've ever looked at on an Apple product because I can't afford the 5,000 monitor and this TV is good enough for me. Like I said, this video isn't to defend Apple. These videos never are. It's to give you insight on a practical way to use your device and if it actually affects you in your day-to-day use, if you get it for the right reasons. I mean, do you see people play benchmarks on a daily basis? No. So don't only use your iPad in the pitch black with the brightness turned. I'm exaggerating a bit there, but chances are the answer is no. But if you are, well, the product isn't for you. So hopefully you guys found this video informative. As always, guys, I appreciate every sub, like, and comment. And as always, I think I said as always twice. You guys remember the show As Always Told by Ginger or whatever that show was on Nickelodeon? RIP, old school cartoons. Anyway, much love.